I attended a church one time, and the worship leader at a certain point in the service walked out and said, "Church, it's offering time." And the whole place stood on their feet and applauded. Amens, hallelujahs from the balcony. Now, I'm a Methodist, so you can imagine my shock and dismay. I turned to the person next to me who happened to be my dad, and he had this sheer look of joy on his face, and he went, "We like to give." And I thought, yeah, you really, really like to give. Do I believe that would maybe ever happen here? Well, I don't know what God has in store for here, so I wouldn't venture a guess about that. But here's what I know about this church. You have a heart to respond to a need, and you each want to do what God is calling you to do. So with those two principles in mind, I know that money is a sticky topic. I know you don't like to talk about money. I know you think we talk about money too much, or maybe you think we talk about money too little. I don't know. Nonetheless, it is a sticky subject, but in reality, it is necessary. Because you see, just as you depend on your paycheck from your company each week, or your retirement each week, this church depends on its offerings. You depend on that money for food, clothing, shelter. The church depends on that money for the same things, for water, for electricity, for insurance, for maintenance. You depend on your company to provide you a fair and equitable salary and raise each year. Our staff here depends on this church to provide the same for them so that they can provide food, shelter, water, care for them and their families. And so, as you think and you pray about the estimated giving for the coming year, would you consider a couple of facts? The last 3 years, our attendance is up, significantly up, but our giving is down, and it is significantly down. So if we continue on the trend that we're traveling now in 2018, based on year-to-date giving, we will end 2018 $38,000 less than we gave in 2017. And more astoundingly, we will end $44,000 less than we gave in 2016. So you see, we need to concentrate a little on our giving. We need to ask God what He has in store for us. We need to understand that we give because we want to grow the kingdom of God. We want this church to flourish. We want a place to come to be a community of faith and serve Jesus Christ. And there must be tithes and offerings for us to do that. And so my final point to you, as you think about your estimated giving and you actually think about writing it down on a card, is there is no condemnation in this place. There is only grace. And so no matter the amount that you can give, or maybe you write it down on paper and then there's an emergency and you can't actually live up to the expectation. If you commit honestly and you commit what you know you can do, having given it prayerful consideration, and you give with a grateful heart, then God will undergird that for you. By faith, you step out and you follow His call. I know there's no condemnation here because remember I told you 2017 was a bad year for me. We missed 22 Sundays, which is unheard of for me and David. That means because we give weekly, we want to be reminded weekly of our grateful heart and our commitment to the church. We give weekly, so that means I missed 22 Sundays of giving. But I thought that I had been really diligent to make it up. I used the online tool. When we came to church, I wrote double checks, all of these things. And so I thought we had made it up. Imagine my surprise when the statement came the first of this year, and I get a text from David, and he says, "Have you looked at the statement from the church?" I said, "No, I filed it away for taxes." "No, I didn't look at it." He said, "You need to look at it now." So I looked at it right then, and guess what? We had not made our commitment. We just hadn't. And honestly, we always make our commitment. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't because we didn't want to. we just missed it. But you know what? Not one person from this church called and said, hey, you missed your check last week. Not one person from this church called and said, you know, you signed up for this amount of money and you're behind. Never did we receive anything in this church but grace and love and kindness from all of you. So I tell you that, I need to tell you, David and I have made that money up this year because he was diligent to tell me that I could not stand before you and talk about money had we not done that. Because David, as honest as I am, David is the walking epitome of honesty. So we have made it up, and I stand before you today whole before the church. So as you think about what you want to give and how you want to commit to our community of faith, I want you to remember that we say, God, why won't you do something? And God says, I did. I created you. And so will you dream small over these next few weeks? And will you let Jesus use you exactly where you are, in this place, in this time, in this hour, and in your life?